Hey house guests, welcome to today's bbcan 9 updates and spoilers. Our house guests of the day are Deirdre Marie and Giselle P. Thank you both so much for the support. We could not do this without you, and we appreciate it so much. So thank you again. And if you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. It's only $1 for a holla. Alright, so you probably noticed that today's video is super long. I've been trying to keep them shorter this season, but sometimes that's just how it be, right? I mean, the last 24 hours have been insane. There has been more gameplay in this one day than there was in the entire All-Stars 2 season. It's insane. We got a house meeting to talk about. We have a lot going on here. So let's dive in. When we left off yesterday, they had the power veto ceremony. And Ro used it on himself, of course. And then Beth, as planned, put up Victoria as his replacement, which means we've got Victoria versus Tara up on the block. So Victoria is the target because she's a much bigger threat, right? But she's already hitting the campaign trail, and boy, she's been saying this whole time, if I end up on the block, you're going to be, hiding from me because I'm going to campaign so much, and, she was not lying about that. She has been campaigning a ton. Oh my god. I really respect her trying to stay right now because it is definitely an uphill battle. But anyway, her main campaigning point so far, she was telling Beth, Jen, and Ty that she has been this whole time and will continue to be loyal to the Ghost Peppers, their 4-person alliance. She admits, yeah, I talked some crap about you guys. I threw out your names as targets. But that was just to get information from the other side. So she also admitted that she was the invisible HOH last week, and she says, if I wanted to make a move against you guys, I would have done it last week when I was the invisible HOH. I could have put one of you guys up or gotten rid of one of you guys and blamed it on somebody else. But she didn't do that. So she's using that as a campaign point. She's also telling the trio, everybody's coming after you guys except for me and maybe Kiefer and Brayden. So she's saying, I want to stay and fight for you guys, and she's saying that she would target Ro if she were to stay. So the trio seems really conflicted. They are really falling under the spell of Victoria's campaigning. They do believe a lot of the stuff that she's saying. But you never know what could happen in the next few days. Every time after they talk to Victoria, they're just like, man, she is so good. So then, yesterday, Tara checked in with Beth and Jed outside after the POV ceremony, and she's thanking Beth for putting up Victoria because she says this really shifts things. You know, she was nervous before, but now she feels a lot better being up on the block against Victoria because she is such a huge target. So Tara says, I know that Victoria is going to tell you that I'm gunning hard for you guys, but there's a house target. And she's referring to Rohan here. And she's saying it would be idiotic for me to go against that. Do you guys really think that Tara would target Rohan? No. She's targeting Jed. She's targeting Jed. She's not looking at Beth anymore right now because Beth, I guess, kind of saved her this week. It's always weird when you think about someone saving another person when they, put them up on the block, but whatever. So, yeah, Tara says, I'm going to be talking to you guys more tomorrow, but I just wanted to, say a quick thanks, and we'll talk more. So then, Ty checks in on Victoria in the Destiny bedroom, and Ty says, Victoria, I know you would never turn on me personally. And even when Victoria was throwing their names out, she was saying Jed and Beth, not Ty. And Victoria, yeah, she admits this. She says, I dropped Jed and Beth's names, but only because other people were saying them, and I wanted to pull this information out of them. She was just trying to play along so that she could bring the info back to them. So Ty says, yeah, we weren't all on the same page about that. We really should have been talking about all that stuff before, because that could have changed things. And Victoria says, well, I still hope that you guys will believe me and we can pick all of these other people off because, again, everybody's coming for you guys except for me. So Ty says, I don't know if you noticed, but I was really upset when I didn't win the power veto because I felt like that was the only way I could guarantee that you wouldn't be going up on the block. Which is true. Ty had said before he was very much against Victoria going up on the block. And he told Jed, if I win the POV, I'm not going to use it. We also saw him telling Beth that he would do what she wanted. So I don't know what he would have ended up doing if he had won. But he was definitely against Victoria going up before. So then Victoria's crying. She's like, I didn't even know that I was an option for you guys. I never would have gone against you. So now here we are. So then Ty, Jed, and Beth were chatting outside. And Ty is telling them all about his chat with Victoria. And Victoria's reaction to being nominated is really throwing them for a loop. It's killing them because they expected her to be angry and blowing up, and they think that would have made the situation a lot easier on them because then they would have been like, okay, well, you're going, you know? But the fact that she's still saying that she wants to work with them and she sees what went wrong and she wants to fix it, that's really messing with their heads. So Beth says, even if Victoria wouldn't have put us up, it doesn't matter. We still need to get her out. We're not planning on going to the end with her. She's a huge threat. And if we don't get rid of her now, we're just going to have to keep doing this over and over again. And it's going to be exhausting. So, yeah. They agree that Ro and Vic cannot both make it through this week. They have to get rid of one of these big threats. So, Beth is saying this week will have been all for nothing if Victoria doesn't go, if we don't follow through on this. And then they start talking about next week a little bit. They are looking at getting rid of either Ro or Kiefer because they are also not a part of the trio's endgame. Honestly, like, Jed and Ty are not part of Beth's endgame. But anyway, Ro is the number one target for next week for them. But if he wins the power veto again or the HOH, then Kiefer is their target. Oh, they're getting tired of Kiefer. They are not feeling good about him, especially since Ro was telling them earlier this week that Kiefer has been playing both sides. All right, so back to this week. They're discussing how Victoria keeps saying that she was playing her role in the alliance by trying to get information from the other side. And they're like, you know, we never really discussed that with Victoria before, that would be her role. She never explained to us what she was doing. Usually when people are like moles and trying to get intel from the other side, they'll warn their alliance ahead of time. Like, hey, I'm going to be throwing you guys under the bus, so if you hear that come back, don't worry about it. But she didn't do that. So they're like, how are we supposed to know what she was doing if she didn't tell us? So Ty is struggling with this. He's like, Jed, I don't know if I can do this. But then a few minutes later, he's like, no, it's too late. It's done. You know, she's already up on the block. We can't come back from this. We have to follow through. But they know that they're in for a rough week with Victoria's campaigning. And they're hoping they might be able to get some information about other people from Victoria, like specifically Kiefer. So they're going to be working on that. All right. So then, this was interesting. Brayden and Victoria had a chat outside, and she's like, I don't want to just roll over and die. She's talking again about how she didn't know that she was going to go up on the block, and she feels silly because she was trying to encourage Tina and Tara before the POV ceremony and telling them, like, you should go talk to Beth and see, like, what's going on, because they were acting all nervous that Tina was going to go up. And little did she know, they were pitching to Beth that Victoria should be the replacement nominee. So she's like, wow, I feel like an idiot. Victoria was also saying she feels like she's not going to be good at any of the competitions that are left this season. She's like, I'm not going to be good at the physical ones. I'm not going to be good at the memory comps. So keep me around. I don't know if that's the best argument for her to make. But Victoria says to Brayden, like, you want me here, right? Do you? It was so sad. But Brayden was like, no, obviously, I want you here. But then he's like, to be honest, I feel done dirty from last week. And Victoria's like, no, I didn't do you dirty. And Brayden's like, yes and no. mean, you did put him on the block with his closest ally, and you were supposed to be aligned with them. But Victoria's like, well, you weren't my target, and I only put you up so that you wouldn't be a vote for Austin to stay. So then Victoria's talking about the dirty looks that she was getting from Austin, and that made her think that Austin and Brayden were going to turn on her, where they weren't really planning on going after Victoria. But Victoria's like, I told you that I would have used the POV on one of you guys, and she says she actually would have done that because Rohan convinced her. I don't know about that. I think she's just playing it up right now. But she also says she feels like she made a huge mistake last week, and she made that move for personal reasons, not for game reasons. And I feel like in this moment, now that she's seeing what happened this week with her up on the block, maybe she is realizing it was a mistake. But I also think she's kind of lying here. I don't know that it was 100% for personal reasons, because there was a game element here. She was working with the trio, and she wasn't going to put one of them up. You know, she wanted to go after Austin and Brayden, another duo. So, yeah, I think she was BSing about that a little bit, at least. So then Victoria is saying that she didn't want to tell anyone last week about the invisible HOH because she was trying to, like, have a thing with Canada for the show. And then after a while, it was just too late. She was in too deep, and it would have been bad for her to admit it at that point. So Brayden's like, well, we were never coming after you. And Victoria's like, sorry. And then Brayden tells her, don't give up. Okay, so then Tara was also trying to hit the campaign trail. She was campaigning to Ty, and I have to say, it was not a great showing from Tara. What it came down to, Ty was telling Tara, hey, Victoria is telling me that she would not put me up on the block if she stayed in one HOH. Like, can you say the same thing? Would you put me up if you won? And Tara is not giving Ty a clear answer here. She is like, I wouldn't want to put you up. So she's also trying to play it off like she's targeting Ro, but she doesn't want to actually say Ro's name. Because she's like, I'm on the block. I can't be, like, saying people's names right now that I would target them. Also, I don't think she would actually target Ro. Again, I think she would target Jed. But because of this conversation, Ty is not feeling great about Tara after this. He did not get the solid confirmation that he was hoping for. So, in other news, Big Brother is smacking down the house guests. They do this every season, pretty much, where they'll, like, play a montage of the house guests behaving badly, specifically against production, like not waking up when they're supposed to, messing with their microphones, blah, 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 like, whatever. And then they're like, you're in trouble, and you should feel really bad about yourself. So, it happens every season. But it's just curious, the timing of this one, because this punishment is starting on the same day that Victoria spilled that a question that she was asked in the diary room kind of made her think that she might be going up on the block. And we found out, essentially, that the blind side was pretty much ruined by production. So the reason why I'm thinking this is related also... Okay, so Big Brother took away the house guests' hot water. Everybody's on slop. But the big thing here is that production put a bunches of bananas on the counter in the storage room. And bananas is their code word for production. And when Victoria was spilling about production, she was like, oh yeah, it was like, I had an inkling that I was going up because of bananas. So it seemed like they were sending a message being like, okay, you can also have bananas along with your slop. So yeah, I don't know. But the house guests were then, you know, with all these bananas available to them, they were trying to see who can shove the bananas the deepest into their mouths. And production did not like that. Cut the beads. Okay, so anyway, back to the game. Later, Victoria was campaigning to Jed, Ty, and Beth in the OLG room, and this was a long talk, and she was making some good points. She was crying on and off, so there was a lot of emotion involved. It was pretty much the same stuff that she's already been saying. Victoria is really pushing that she's all about the ghost peppers, even moving forward, like even after they put her up on the block, she still wants to work with them. Is that actually true? I don't know. I think it is true, the part about her not targeting them before. Because again, she could have just done that during her Invisible HOH week. But moving forward, I don't know. I mean, they took a shot at her, so it would be kind of silly if she didn't take a shot back at them. And that trio needs to be broken up. But yeah, she's pushing that she still wants to work with them. And she's saying, I only talked crap about you guys to get info from the other side. I thought this was my role in the alliance. And she says, I'm scared for you guys. If I go and this week is a double eviction, which it is, Beth can't play for the next HOH. And she's really pushing that Ro, Tina, and Tara are working together and targeting the throuple, which is correct. She says if you look at Kiefer and Brayden, they're jumpers. They're just floating back and forth to power. Also, they don't realize Brayden is targeting the throuple. Like, the trio has just, like, taken him in, but he is a double agent here. He's working with Ro, and I believe he would put up the two guys if he were to win HOH. So, yeah. Jed asks Victoria, would you feel comfortable airing all of this out in front of people? Meaning a house meeting. And Victoria says yes, but she's a little bit nervous because if this house meeting happens, she says it's pretty much going to expose that she's been working with the throuple. And she's not sure that they all want that out there at this point. But Victoria, again, is mostly pushing. She still wants to work with them. Ro, Tina, and Tara are after you guys. And she says that Tara has been initiating a lot of the conversations about the trio and that Tara was exaggerating about Baggate. This is, if you guys haven't been watching the last few days, there is this rumor going around that Victoria was threatening to, like, throw Beth's suitcase, her bag, over the balcony because they were all annoyed with her. And I remember one conversation about it before Victoria dragged her bag into the HOH room. But apparently there was another one before the eviction even, which they keep talking about. So, yeah. Victoria's saying that Kiefer can be a witness for her with the whole bag thing because he was in the room, but what she doesn't know is that Kiefer already talked to the throuple about Baggate and said that it was true. Okay, so then the throuple keeps saying they want a house meeting tomorrow, meaning Tuesday, and they want Tara called out. They don't want her feeling all comfortable. So then they're going to move forward from there, like after that's all done. So after this conversation, once Victoria was alone, she was talking to the camera. She was like, please work, please work, please work, please work. And she's like, I think that went well, right? Let's go. I mean, it went as well as it could have, I guess, right? Because the throuple then went to the HOH room to discuss all this. And again, they're like, damn, that was good. That was a great campaign from Victoria. So Ty then starts telling them about Tara's crappy campaign that wasn't good. And he was like, I'm pretty sure that Tara would put at least one of us up on the block. And, you know, they're wondering if we were to keep Victoria, who would be our third vote? Because you need 3 votes to tie this week. Oh my God. So they're wondering, is Brayden with us? Or does he have something going on with Ro? And they're also wondering, is he with us enough to keep Victoria this week? They all agree that they believe what Victoria is saying about how she wouldn't go after them and all this stuff. And on the other side, on the flip side, Tara is not a number for them. Duh. So then Brayden comes in, and the throuple is freaking fired up right now. And Brayden comes in all unsuspecting, and Beth is like, are you 100% with us? And Brayden's like, yeah. And Jed's asking, like, are you working with Ro? And he's like, no. Are you 100% with us? They're asking him again. And then Ty's like, how about if we wanted to keep Victoria 100 with us? And they start telling Brayden they want to have a house meeting tomorrow. Victoria's been making a really good pitch. And they're kind of questioning, like, who should be going this week. So Brayden's like, I don't know. To me, it's just scary that Victoria can apparently flip everyone just like that. And they're like, well, we haven't flipped yet. We're just debating it. Like, we always like to debate both options. So Brayden says getting Tara out doesn't really do anything for anyone. So, yeah. Then Kiefer joins them. And they're telling Kiefer Victoria's making a really good pitch. They don't really share it right away with Kiefer, which I think was pretty frustrating with him, or for him. But they're like, yeah, she's been making a good pitch. And Jed says there's going to be a house meeting tomorrow, so get ready. And Kiefer's like, what? They tell him some dirty laundry needs to get aired out, and Tara will be getting called out. And Kiefer is silent. It's super awkward. They're asking him what's wrong, and he's like, oh well, I don't like house meetings. I don't like any house meetings. I'm against them. They're awkward. And he says, I just don't like the way this is all unfolding right now. You know, what is causing this? Why are things uncertain again? I think Kiefer's freaking out because he realizes if a house meeting happens, his playing the middle game could be exposed. Yeah. It was also super awkward. Like, he just brought a really weird energy into the room. Like, things definitely felt different once he walked in. And it seemed like Kiefer was pissed that Brayden was involved in this game chat and they were speaking so openly in front of him. Which was confirmed later. He was talking about it with Victoria. He was like, I don't know when Brayden got so close to the trio. And he also talked to the trio about, like, I don't feel comfortable talking all this game in front of Brayden because Kiefer says if he won HOH, Brayden would be one of the people he would be nominating. So he doesn't want to, like, be having these game conversations with him. So it was definitely awkward. But he tells them, like, I feel like my opinion doesn't matter. And they're like, we're trying to get everybody's opinions right now. Like, we're literally asking you what you think. So they go through all the pros and cons for Victoria and Tara. And Brayden is slyly keeping the target on Victoria. So Ty eventually says Victoria's most likely going to go at the end of the week. You know, we're going to be flipping back and forth, but she's most likely going to go. She's already up on the block. We can't keep her now. You know, it's like past the point of no return at this point. So with that said, Beth is just, like, really still thirsting for this house meeting. She wants it to happen no matter what. She wants this info to come out. So after Jed and Beth go outside and they're talking about how annoyed they are with Kiefer. They do not like that energy that he brought into the HOH room. They were saying they wanted to freak out on him, but Brayden was in there, so they couldn't. Now juxtapose that with how great they feel with Brayden, which is funny because Brayden is loyal to Rohan. But they're still saying at this point, Victoria's got to go. They just can't trust that she wouldn't want revenge after this. So that was last night. Now today, oh my God. Today, Brayden filled in Ro on the thruples, flip-flopping back and forth, and, you know, they're not really sure at this point who they want to evict. Also, they were questioning if Brayden is working with Ro. Okay, Victoria continuing her campaigning, thruple still waffling, and Victoria's still planning on calling out Tara. And by this point, everybody knows it's coming, including Tara. And Tara and Beth had conversation, and Beth was pretty much spilling all of Victoria's campaign points, telling Beth about the house meeting, which I don't get, because if she wants, like, a genuine reaction from Tara during this house meeting, why would you tell her everything that Victoria is planning on bringing up? It just doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, let's talk about the house meeting. Oh my God. It was a lot. If you guys want to see the full thing, there are a couple of versions of it uploaded on YouTube if you just, like, search for it. And the full thing is, like, 37 minutes long, so buckle up. But I'm just going to talk about, like, the main points here. So first of all, it was an outdoor edition. It was like when it's nice and you're at school and somebody asks the teacher, can we have class outside today? And this time, The teacher said yes. So everyone was outside, and things kick off when Victoria says, Tara, you promised me that this was going to be a clean campaign from you, so why did you go to Beth this morning and tell her that I'm all fired up and, like, I'm going to be confronting people? And Tara's like, because you were. And I'm on the block next to you. Like, what do you want me to do? So then they start going back and forth about Baggate, about Beth's bag, and it's deny on both sides about who started that whole thing. Victoria's like, yes, I did make comments about it, but I didn't say that I was going to throw it over the balcony. No way. So at this point, voices are raised. The bag is definitely bringing out the raised voices. So Victoria says that she's coming for Tina and Tara now because they are liars. They're lying about this. And then Victoria asked Kiefer, like, what do you say about all this? And Kiefer did back her up that, yes, she did talk about the bag, but she didn't say that she was going to throw it over the railing. So that was a bit of an exaggeration. So then things are moving, like, really, really quickly. They were going through, like, a lot of different topics, and then they would kind of, like, cycle back to them after a while. It was exhausting to watch, but, yeah, they were going through a lot of stuff. So Victoria called out Ro and Tina and Tara on targeting the throuple, of course. Those three deny it. Victoria brought up Ro trying to flip the vote last week to keep Austin, which did in fact happen, but he denied that as well. And Victoria was flabbergasted. Every time this would come up in the conversation, she was like, you're disgusting. I can't believe you. I can't believe you would swear on your family that you didn't try to flip the vote. Like, you're disgusting. Canada's disgusted right now. And it was wild. But at one point, Victoria admitted to being the invisible HOH last week, and Tara's like, well, why did you try to pin it on Ty? You've been playing both sides this entire time, and now you got caught hard. And Victoria's like, well, if I wanted one of the trio out, like, one of them would be gone, because I would have just done it during my invisible HOH. So this whole house meeting was mostly Victoria versus Tina, Tara, and Ro. And Tina, Tara, and Ro were just deny pretty much the entire time. And, yeah. It almost turned into, like, a Real Housewives thing of Victoria being like, just own it, you know, own it, own what you said. So at one point, too, Victoria was, like, screaming and crying about Tina and Tara throwing her under the bus this week to Beth, while she was encouraging them to go and talk to Beth to try and help them, when it was looking like Tina would be going up as the replacement, which was fake. But she feels like an idiot for doing that when she could have been going up and talking to Beth and trying to throw other people under the bus. So she's like, I never thought you guys would do that to me. That's so messed up. And she feels like Tina and Tara and Ro must have, like, talked some nasty crap about her to make Beth give such a wild nomination speech, because Beth was saying that she's a liar and a manipulator. So Tara's like, well, people asked me questions and I gave them the truth. Sure, that's what it was. But Ro says it's an eye for an eye. I know you've been tossing my name around, so yeah, like, I tossed your name around too. So then Tara starts bringing up some conversation that I guess Victoria told her about. Supposedly Victoria, I don't remember hearing this conversation. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I guess Victoria told Tara that she overheard Beth saying that Tara didn't deserve to be there and that she's, like, always complaining, which is something that, like, Beth has said before about Tara. And Victoria's like, well, you don't deserve to be here. Oof. And that came up a bunch of times. And then Victoria was asking Brayden, has Ro ever approached you about working together? And that was a really big file, and my camera said no more. So, I hope this lines up right. But Brayden and Ro are both denying it. They say, no, we didn't have that conversation exactly. And Victoria's like, well, Ro came to me and told me that you guys talked about it and that Brayden was on board. And Ro's just like, what are you talking about? So, of course he's gonna lie about that, though. So then Ro, Tina, and Tara also deny that they're working together. They go over the bag thing a few more times. They go over Roe trying to keep Austin, about Tara not deserving to be there, like all this stuff. And this whole time, like, Victoria is swearing on everyone and everything in her life. Yeah. And then it got really dark at one point because Vic and Tara were screaming at each other. I mean, like, full on screaming. And Tara, like, threw her sunglasses on the floor over what Tara has or has not said about, like, not wanting to have to go to the jury house because she's going to miss her kids and all this stuff. Which we've heard her say, like, she didn't want to be the first person in jury and then, like, have a month where she's not playing the game or seeing her kids. So a lot of people are annoyed by talk like that because nobody wants to sit in the jury house for, like, a month. So Victoria says, we all signed up for this. Stop playing the victim. And it was just like, because, I mean, they were really screaming at each other. So then towards the end, Beth's speech came up again. And Beth jumps in and she's like, all right, about the speech. Like, it wasn't personal. You shouldn't feel embarrassed about me calling you, like, a liar or manipulator or any of those things. This is a game. And she says the only reason why she made that speech is because Tina, Tara, Roe, and Brayden all came to her and told her that Victoria was saying she would put up Jed and Beth. That's all it came down to. And Victoria says, I'm not denying my role in that. You know, you guys were in on those conversations as well. All the people that Beth just listed. So why are you denying it? You know, just own up to it. And Roe, Tina, and Tara, they all say, like, oh, we were in the room, yeah, but we were just going along with it. What else were we supposed to say? So this whole thing was still going on after like 37 minutes, and then the feeds went down for a while. Okay, so then later, Victoria and Roe were chatting alone, and Roe is trying to explain what's going on here. So he says, I felt like you weren't with us anymore because you put up Austin and Brayden last week, 2 members of our alliance. Like, what was that all about? And you didn't talk to any of us about it. So he says, I didn't pitch for you to go up this week, but I did support it. And Rose says, you never know. Like, this whole thing might actually help you stay. It might give you a good chance of staying because the throuple is going to want you to stay and to take me out. So Victoria's like, yeah, well, I'm going to be telling people that I'm coming for you, but, like, I might not. Okay, so then they actually talk about working together if Victoria stays. After all that, wild. Like, I mean, they could have just been faking each other out. I don't know. I think Roe probably would prefer to, like, break up the trio first. But Victoria, I have no idea what she would actually do if she were to stay. I have no idea. But it was just crazy that after all that, like, so quickly after all that, they're talking about working together moving forward. But yeah, after that, Victoria continued on the campaign trail. This girl does not stop. And she's telling the throuple that she's targeting Roe. It's like all the same stuff. And the throuple continues to waffle. What a surprise. As of right now, it still seems like Victoria's going, but we've got 2 days left until this eviction. We got all the fallout happening from this house meeting, so who knows. But I want to thank you all so much if you made it to the end of this video. It's been a long, exhausting day, but at least we're getting some good gameplay, right? The feeds have been super entertaining. So thank you all so much for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and until next time, much love.